The history of Samo, or inner whirling. In our previous programs, we mentioned that the center of path of unity and substantial evolution was around the city of Balkh within the province of Khorasan. According to history, Buddha was a man from India. Yet before what we know today as Buddhist teachings, Buddha's own spiritual journey was one that was based on evolution of body and soul. Buddha's inner journey was through deep meditation, sitting in a lotus pose known as Pagadasama in the hope of traversing his inner veils and moving towards enlightenment and inner light. Buddha itself is a spiritual title, meaning someone who has become awake and is no longer under the veil of ignorance. As people in general are asleep and only become awake when they leave this world. Yet the goal of seekers of path of substantial evolution of body and soul is to become awake before they leave this world, so that they can experience what others experience only after death while they are alive in this world. So they, through their evolution, wish to realize for themselves the meaning behind the phrase "die before you die." That is to achieve rebirth after dying to the illusions of this world. But not just once or twice, but every time they sit in the Shavasana pose or the corpse pose. That is why seekers lie down in the corpse posture, followed by moving into the candle pose, and then like a spring enter into the child pose, and followed by the lotus position where the seeker sits in meditation. The seeker sits in meditation until each of his or her inner veils are traversed or fall, just like how the autumn leaves are blown away by the autumn wind, leaving the bare naked tree in its place. Thus, when one's third eye opens, one only sees light and nothing else, a light that originates from the center of existence and enters the heart of the seeker. This is a spiritual practice that Buddha learned from Brahman teachers and applied while sitting under a tree until he gained enlightenment and saw this light. Afterwards, many people came to him and learned this practice from Buddha and applied his technique. These teachings then traveled east to China and Japan, where temples were built dedicated purely to meditation under the path named as Chen in Chinese or Zen in Japanese. But Buddha Siddhartha himself learned these practices from Hindu Brahmins. Then other Buddhas followed Buddha Siddhartha, like Buddha Dharma, who built schools around these teachings, like the Shaolin schools, which is centered on practicing 72 movements or postures. But there were also other Buddhas who moved west towards Khorasan and created teachings in which the initial step is based on self-discovery and the last steps are based on discovering the Lord of all existence through passing the inner gate of Nirvana and entering the realm that is purely existence itself, known as Samadhi or Samadh. In Khorasan, many schools were set up in order to teach these teachings. In India, Brahmins, Babas or Mahatmas and Sadhus center the teachings on the circle of 12 postures, the goal of which is to gain energy from the sun and circulate this energy within one's solar plexus near one's navel. These postures were performed by each seeker every dawn. In Khorasan, this circle of 12 postures were transformed into a circle of 5 movements with the same goal. These 5 movements, which were practiced by the Tibetan Buddhist teachers, were equivalent to the 12 movements that were used in Brahman traditions. But in the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, spiritual evolution is centered on movements that form part of daily seekers' exercises and daily whirling action, that a seeker, by focusing on his right, performs in a clockwise direction. In the beginning, the seeker turns 21 times. But as an introductory level, 7 times is sufficient so that one does not become dizzy. However, after a while, when one's eardrums have adjusted and can handle this motion without becoming dizzy, one can increase the number of rotations towards 21. After this number of rotation is achieved, one can move on to even more rotations that are dependent on one's magnetic energy and other energies that are circulating in the body of the seeker. Therefore, whirling is the most important movement between these 5 steps. These movements were part of the teachings of the Tibetan Buddhists who were students of Buddha, as these movements were part of the spiritual evolution of each seeker and the means for them to connect to the invisible realms and move from nature to beyond nature.